Hello, this is V. Welcome to Queries, a series where we examine conversations on queer topics. Today's conversation is sparked by a tweet sent out by J.K. Rowling. In the tweet, she said, "Dress however you please, call yourself whatever you like, sleep with any consenting adult who will have you, live your best life in peace and security, but force women out of their jobs for stating that sex is real. Hashtag I stand with Maya. Hashtag this is not a drill." In this tweet, J.K. Rowling is coming out in defense of a woman, Maya Forstater, who is a trans-exclusionary radical feminist, or TERF, or as people who hold these views like to call themselves, gender critical. Maya, like other trans-exclusionary radical feminists, believes that whether one is a man or a woman is entirely based on one's genitals at birth and or chromosomes, and that one cannot change this in their life. She believes that trans women are not women and trans men are not men. Trans-exclusionary people's views mainly focus on trans women, and trans men are nearly always left out. They believe that trans women should be excluded from women's only spaces, such as women's shelters, women's sports teams, women's prisons, etc. They say that this is for cisgendered women's safety. They ignore the fact that trans women are at an even greater risk of violence at the hands of men, whether it be harassment or assault or rape or murder. Trans women deserve access to these women's only safe spaces. They are women. They are suffering from all the same bigotry and sexism and risk that women have to deal with every day. In the UK, trans people's right to live as their gender that they know that they are is enshrined into law by the Gender Recognition Act. Unfortunately, in the United States, we do not yet have an equivalent law, and in many states, trans people can still be fired just for being trans. Now, both of the people in our conversation today agree on all the facts that I've laid out in this introduction. They do not deny that trans women should have basic human rights. Where they do disagree is what we should do in these cases where someone is expressing trans-exclusionary views online. So J.K. Rowling tweeted this, and it seems like she's basically agreeing with Maya Forstater that sex is determined by your chromosomes and or your genitals at birth, and that's the only thing that really matters, that trans women do not deserve to be treated or recognized as women. It's completely messed up, and she has been posting misgendering people. She's been posting conflating trans women as perverts, basically posting a cartoon where a trans woman is flashing to cisgendered women, and she's just fear-mongering. She is saying this is for the safety of women, that trans women need to be kept out of women's spaces. And what does that mean? What kind of safety is she protecting? Is that basically insinuating that trans women might rape cisgendered women? It's just completely absurd, and employers should be able to fire people based on these things, and she wasn't even fired. She was just not rehired. She tried to sue, and she rightly did not succeed. The employment tribunal found that this is not a protected belief, and it isn't. It is not based on religion, and it does not meet their requirements in Britain for a philosophical belief, because it is arguing for removing people's rights, and therefore it is not a view that is respectable in a democratic society. You can't just advocate for taking people's rights away. Okay, so I hear what you're saying, but the view Forstater is expressing is not one that is so extreme. A lot of people I know kind of think the same things. I don't think that they're right, but sex and gender are, by a lot of people's standards, two different things. And even in the LGBT community, a lot of people stress the difference between the two. And Forstater is explaining that she thinks that sex remains an important component, and it is true that cisgender women do experience some things and face some adversity that trans women don't, and the other way around too. And she wants to fight for the right for cisgendered women to have their own spaces. Now, does she really deserve to lose this employment opportunity based on that? Should employers really be basically firing people or not hiring people based on beliefs like this that are not really extreme? They suck, but they're not really extreme. And how are people going to learn? How are people going to have honest conversations? And how are we going to move public opinion if people are afraid to say what they think? Forstater seems to, if you look at her Twitter, be trying to be as respectful as possible. And I just really think we need to be pragmatic about this. How is anyone going to learn? I have family members who hold these views, and I try to convince them, but how do we have a conversation if they think they might lose their jobs for saying something like this online? But this conversation isn't respectful by definition. She is arguing to take people's rights away. Now, if we use a different example, if there were people that were expressing views online that they were against miscegenation, people of different races marrying and taking away their right to do that, would that be protected? Would you force employers to hire people expressing those views to take people's rights away? I think there is a line somewhere that is obviously extreme, the example you gave, and I think absolutely employers should be able to not hire someone based on things like that. But situations like the one we're talking about, where a significant portion of the population hasn't come around yet, is it helpful to not let them say what they think? Is it going to help push public opinion if we don't let them really honestly be part of the conversation? I mean, yes, it does. There's a reason why we, for example, filter out hate speech and remove it from Twitter and Facebook. If you allow people to just freely post these things, they radicalize other people and they're spreading misinformation. We should be going even farther to remove these things from online. We've had these hard-fought battles to get these rights, and it's not okay for people with regressive views to just express them with immunity from any consequences. We aren't talking about hate speech here. We're talking about people that sincerely have a view and they are expressing that they want to be respectful, that they think trans people should have all the same rights as everyone else. They're just disagreeing on this one point. I mean, I guess you really are right. It really, after these hard-fought battles to get to the point where legally people have a right, it takes so long and it's so difficult. It's hard to know what to do. I'm just trying to think how we're going to bring people around. If we fired everyone in my family who wants to take away some right from people, it'd be a significant portion of my family, between trans issues, between gay marriage, between abortion. Each of these cases, you're talking about taking away someone's right, and it's a sincerely held belief. Again, it's so sad that people won't just let other people live and have the rights that don't really affect them. I absolutely agree with you on those things. Just not sure we're on the same page on how to move public opinion. Well, I guess we're just going to have to agree to disagree. I mean, at least we both agree that trans people do deserve all the rights and respect in everything. And you want to be pragmatic. I understand that. I just don't think that that's going to help us. So both of the people in this conversation have made some good points. What do you think? How do you think we can push public opinion? When do you think there should be consequences? What types of consequences? Where are the lines? in these situations. Now, I think we all can agree that it's really, really sad that J.K. Rowling is coming out in defense of these types of views and is implying with her tweet that she shares these views. This is an author who has published a book series where the main moral is to stick up for the marginalized and oppressed and fight people who would have one type of people or the most powerful people rule over everyone. In the books, there are storylines where typically marginalized people are given respect, and Dumbledore and Harry push forward those people's rights, from house elves to half-giant people to people who are muggle-born, who are wizards, to squibs. How do you think it came about that Rowling is expressing these views that seem to completely contradict what her books are all about? Do you think you can still enjoy the Harry Potter series? But again, most importantly, how do you think we change people's minds like J.K. Rowling, like Maya Forstater? How do we have conversations about this? Please let your voice be heard in the comments section, and thank you for tuning in.